Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are really going to get into the weeds of how to talk to an AI. We're going to pull back the curtain on some of the hidden rules. Those super counterintuitive reasons why an AI sometimes feels like it's just got a mind of its own and totally ignores what you tell it to do. Seriously, haven't we all been there? You spend time crafting what you think is a perfectly clear prompt. You give it just one simple "don't do this" command, and what happens? The AI goes and does that exact thing. It has to be one of the most maddening things about working with these models, right? And this example just perfectly sums it up. The prompt is, "What is the capital of France? Please do not use the word Paris in your answer." And the AI's response? Paris. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. This is a real example from a research paper, and it is honestly hilarious. It's so simple, so clear, and yet the model completely fails. So what is going on? Is the AI just bad at listening? Well, the real answer is, believe it or not, a whole lot more fascinating. All right, so let's start digging in with our first big idea, something I like to call the persona paradox. You've probably heard the advice, right? Tell the AI to act as an expert physicist or be a creative copywriter to get better answers. But what if that advice, that thing we all do, is actually making things worse? I mean, this is basically prompting 101, isn't it? It's one of the first tricks everyone learns, and the logic seems solid. You give the AI a role, you kind of narrow its focus, you help it tap into all that expert knowledge it has stored away, and boom, you get better, more relevant answers. For a long time, we've all just assumed this is a golden rule that works for, well, pretty much everything. But, and this is a big but, this is where things get a lot more complicated. As this one research paper puts it, a persona is a double-edged sword. So treating it like some magic on switch for better answers, that's a huge mistake. Yeah, it can help for sure, but it can also seriously, and I mean seriously, get in the way of the AI's performance, especially when you need it to do some heavy lifting with complex reasoning. So the key here, the real takeaway, is knowing when to use this tool and when to leave it in the toolbox. Personas are absolutely brilliant for style and creativity. You want an AI to write like a pirate? Go for it. A persona is your best friend. But, and this is crucial, when what you need is pure, hard factual accuracy or some really tough reasoning, slapping on a persona can actually make the AI perform worse. It's like forcing it to wear a costume can sometimes trigger biases or limitations from its training data, which leads to, you guessed it, less reliable answers. Now, don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean you should just throw personas out the window completely. Not at all. For more advanced stuff, you just have to get a little more creative. For instance, instead of one role, why not have the AI act as a team? Make it be a developer and a project manager to get both the techie details and the big picture strategy. Or you could have it switch hats mid-conversation. The whole point is to be way more intentional and strategic about how and why you're using them. Okay, that brings us to our next big idea. And honestly, this might be an even bigger misconception in the world of prompting. Most of us, myself included, we pour all our energy into writing that perfect question, right? But in doing so, we're often completely ignoring the single most powerful tool we have, the system prompt. So let's break this down. The user prompt, that's the one we all know and use every single day. It's your specific, in-the-moment instruction. It's the, hey, summarize this article or write me an email. It's immediate, it's focused on the task at hand, and it's where we spend probably 99% of our prompting energy. But then, kind of hiding in the background, is this system prompt. Think of this as the master set of rules. It's the foundational instruction that shapes the entire conversation. It's not about the what, it's about the how. It tells the AI how to be. For example, you are a helpful assistant that thinks step by step, not just what specific thing to do in that moment. And right here, this is the big aha moment. Here's the best way to think about it. The system prompt is the AI's entire operating system. It makes massive global changes to how the AI thinks and responds. The user prompt, that's just a single app you're running on that OS. You see the difference? Fiddling with the user prompt is like changing a setting in one little app. But changing the system prompt, that's like upgrading the entire operating system. The leverage you have is just on a completely different level. And you don't have to take my word for it. The research here is just stunning. It turns out that a single, really well-designed system prompt can perform just as well as spending all that time and effort carefully crafting a custom prompts for every single task. Think about that. The return on investment, the sheer bang for your buck you get from nailing your system prompt, is just off the charts. All right, so let's circle all the way back to that puzzle from the beginning, the don't say Paris problem. Why on earth did the AI say Paris when we told it so clearly not to? Well, it's not just some random glitch or a funny quirk. There is a deep mechanical reason for this, and it gets right to the core of how these AIs actually work. So the core idea here is something called semantic pressure. Just think about it. Before you even say don't, the phrase, "What is the capital of France?" creates this incredibly powerful statistical pull towards one word, Paris. It's like a linguistic gravity well. The context makes Paris so overwhelmingly probable that it's almost impossible for the AI to escape its pull. So your little "don't say Paris" instruction, it's basically trying to fight against this massive gravitational force. And it is not a fair fight. And this is where the research gets really interesting. This chart shows that when the AI actually succeeds, the negative command works pretty well, reducing the word's probability by almost 23%. But look at this. In the moments when it's about to fail, that same command is over 4 times weaker. It's only reducing the pull by about 5%. So it's not just ignoring you. Your instruction is losing almost all of its power at the exact moment it's needed the most. And that brings us to the absolute core of the problem. It's the classic "don't think of a pink elephant" paradox. What are you thinking about right now? A pink elephant? By saying, do not use the word Paris, you are literally forcing the AI to focus all of its attention on the concept of Paris. You're priming it. You're activating the very network of connections you were trying to shut down. For a machine that runs entirely on these kinds of associations, you're accidentally making the forbidden word the star of the show. Now, the research shows there are really 2 ways this all goes wrong. Overwhelmingly, like almost 90% of the time, it's what's called a priming failure. That's the pink elephant problem we just talked about. You mentioned the forbidden word, and that was enough to doom the whole process. But then, about 12% of the time, something else happens, an override failure. This is more like a runaway train. The AI's internal impulse to say Paris is already so strong and moving so fast that by the time your do not signal gets processed, it's just too late to stop it. Okay, so after all that, what does this actually mean for us? How do we take all these crazy insights about personas and system prompts and pink elephants and actually use them to get better at talking to AIs? Well, it all comes down to adopting a new, smarter mindset. So let's boil this all down into 3 simple, new rules for pro-level prompting. Rule number 1, use personas for style, not as a shortcut for accuracy. Save them for when you need a creative voice, not when you need hard facts. Rule number 2, put your time and energy into your system prompt. That's where you have the most leverage to shape the AI's whole personality. And finally, rule number 3, stop telling the AI what not to do. Rephrase your negatives into positives. So instead of saying, "don't use jargon," try something like, "explain this so a 5th grader could understand." Guide it towards the goal, don't just point out the obstacles. And that really brings us to a final, pretty mind-bending thought. As we get better and better at this whole prompt engineering thing, we're not just learning how to give better commands. We're actually learning how to change our own way of thinking, to adapt our own language to fit the very weird, very non-human logic of these AIs. Which really makes you wonder, if we're the ones who have to learn all their hidden rules, who is really instructing whom?